So, you just did a mass booster box opening. You opened maybe one, maybe two, maybe three booster boxes. You have piles of cards everywhere. What are you going to do with them all? Where are you going to put them? How are you going to sort them? What do you need to sort them into? These are all questions that people that are just getting into this ask themselves once they start opening all these cards or packs of cards and realize that they need to put all this stuff somewhere. And then, if they're not immediately selling it, they need to store it in a way that is useful to them. Or not. I mean, it depends on what you're looking to do with it. For myself, I build commander decks, and decks of all fashion. And so I want to be able to see the cards I have, and so I use binders. I keep no more than 4 of each card, and I put them in pages and pages of binders, in binders, and that's how I do it. Now, to sort the cards, I use one of these. I used to do it, well, let's show the old way. So, the old way, doing it before I started using that, was I'd get this stack of cards, and I would go red, blue, white, green, black, and then I would just do it like that. And yeah, I mean, you can do that. As soon as the stacks start getting about here, though, they start getting slidey around, moving all over the place. And yeah, it's then you got to pick them up, and to get them, you got to move them around to get them up. It's really a pain to do. So I stopped doing that a little while ago, and I started using a sorting tray. Now, there's several sorting trays out there. I'm not going to suggest any particular one because I only have one, and I'm sure others might do it better or differently. I picked this up on Amazon. I think it was maybe $10. There'll be a link to it in the description if you want to get yourself one. I think they come in batches of 2. I don't know. So, I mean, this just makes it so much easier. The cards stay neater. They stay in stacks. And it's pretty quick. So when I want a stack of cards, I just pick it up, move it. And doing this, I've been able to sort the cards much quicker than I ever could in the past. So as you can see, we have 5 stacks here. One more stack would be of land, and that would be the 5 colors, land, gold cards separate, or multicolored, and then I put all artifacts regardless of what their casting cost is, whether it's multicolored or not, in the same thing. At some point, I'll show how I sort these into large binders, but for the moment, I'm just going to sort all of these cards that I have in stacks here, and then we're going to move into sorting the individual stacks of cards after they're in their respective colors. So we're going to skip ahead in time here until this is all done, and then we'll talk about how to continue the sorting after you've got the colors and things separated out. So once you have your stacks of cards sorted like this, and I don't know if you can see, but there, the stacks are pretty thick. But they're also pretty neat. Once you have it like this, then however which way you want to sort it past that is, of course, up to you. For me, I sort everything down into, well, what it is. Whether it's a creature or spell. I even separate out enchantment, sorceries, and instants. And also, I separate out different types of creatures if I have them, or how I have them sorted is if they're angels or soldiers or something that's a very common, especially for white, if it's a very common thing to see, I'll sort it out different from the rest of the creatures I have. So angels, soldiers, clerics, and knights have their own binder all to themselves, whereas every other creature that doesn't have such a huge influence on the color all gets thrown into one. So let me pull these out of here now. And we can start with white. Alrighty, so we're done with the first level of sorting that I do with these. The next level will be down to the casting cost. So when I'm putting together a commander deck, sometimes I want to hit cards of a certain type that are within a certain range of casting cost. So another thing that I do is I break them up into that. What this also does, and this is a very small example with these cards, what this also does is allows me to see how many of a certain card I have because it's putting them in the same card slot. So with this, we have 4 of them. Perfect. That's exactly how many I will keep. Alright, so in this batch, looks like we have a few extra of some of them. So let's start. First of all, we can move the enchantments and the sorceries out of here at the moment, so we have some extra space to play with. These are good, so they can move down there for the moment. Let's get these out of here as well, so we're not dealing with those yet. We only have one of those, so that's good. And then I'll also, if I can, put them in alphabetical order as well. So if I have something that says Dauntless Unity, I know that that's going to be DEA is obviously first, so then Disenchant, K, and then P, and then S. Oh, somehow I made a mistake there. Let's see. It'll be the 4th Disenchant, and another Dauntless. So you gotta be careful. Alright, so we ran into. Oops. I'm doing it again. Look at that. Whoops. So I have 5 of the 1 card. So 5 of these. That means I'm going to take 1 out, put it aside. And that'll go in a box of overflow. And those stay with it. And we have 4. And that's instants done. And sorceries. And enchantments. And do the same thing with creatures. So start on the 5s. Good on the 5s. Angel and Shepherd. Got 4 and 3. Good. Four of those. And 1 of those. So keep in mind, this was a single box opening, so there's not going to be a whole lot of overflow. Might get 1 or 2 extra commons, especially if we pulled a foil comment or something like that. But not a whole lot of overflow. When you do multiple box openings, you're going to have a lot of extras. So, alright, why do I separate these out? You have, in this group, you have clerics. There should be some angels in here as well. Angels. Simply put, I separate them because there's so many creatures in one binder, or so many cards in one binder, that the binders just get too full at some point. And the more cards you have in a binder pressing the sides of the binder out, the more chance you have to damage cards. And when we go over binders in the future, I will show cards that have been damaged before I knew better how to look after them inside of binders. But yeah, it's a shame when it happens, because sometimes you can lose the value on really expensive cards if you don't really watch what you're doing when it comes to storing cards inside of binders. Same thing inside of boxes. If you're storing them inside of boxes and the boxes get crushed, can damage corners, put indents in the sides of them. Looking after cards, especially when you start getting into thousands of cards, becomes a task unto itself. I can tell you, probably in the past 10 years, I've probably sorted cards almost as many times as I've played cards. Just because if you're buying boxes all the time, it becomes a constant thing to go through them all and sort them out and put them away. And sort out, as you're putting them away, take out the extras that you have and store them somewhere. Obviously, this is not the only way to do this. There are many ways to sort cards and store them. This is just what works for me, because I want to see the cards that I have, and I want to be able to pull them out really easily and put them in decks if I'm making decks with them. And it's just like looking at the cards, and if the cards are stored inside of boxes, you can't necessarily see them. You have to search through the boxes and then flip through them, and then you have a chance of, if you have something on your hands, damaging them. If they're in binders, in pages, pages of cards, you have less chance of damaging them if they're stored correctly. So that's why I do it like that. Even the expensive cards I have, oftentimes they're in pages. I don't have a lot of really expensive ones. I probably don't have anything over the $400 range. But even those, I keep They're within sleeves, within pages, so they're sleeved inside of pages. And that's how I do it. Using this method, I then put everything into alphabetical order and start putting them inside the binders. And at some point, I'll show that as well. So just wanted to make a relatively quick video on how I do this, and hope it helps someone sort their cards in the future. So thank you very much for watching.